The war in Three Peaks has taken a little bit of a pause as Durin tries to figure out exactly what to do about a great dragon and a big block of ice on the doorstep of Gundabad. I will thus come and speak with Leothred there, who sent me a letter just before the war started, and I was a bit too busy to respond to it. Hello there, Leothred. I got your letter.
My friend, I am glad that you are here.
I have been pondering the well-known Rohirric tale of Fram and Scatha. While I'm certain that the tale is true, I have often questioned some of Fram's actions. If you would continue to be my guide into the north for a little longer, I would be ever grateful, for I wish to continue learning and writing the story of my people. Fram is but half the tale I wish to learn more about. What of Scatha the Worm? Perhaps it was the dwarves' arrival in the Grey Mountains that awoke Scatha from slumber. Perhaps it was the coming of the Aithuda and the slaughter and flight of the Gundabad orcs after Angmar's fall. I believe the answers will lie to the north. Well, you better be careful there. Well, there's a war up there. It is on pause, I admit, but you never know. You'll never know what will happen when things suddenly spark up again. But tell me what you want.
Angry and ravenous, Scatha attacked, ravaging the herds, in scorching Fasthala itself with his destructive breath.
This truth is certain. A year after Durin's folk departed the arid Mithrin to follow King Thrain to Erebor, the great long worm spilled forth from his secret cavern. Angry and ravenous, Scatha attacked the Aithuda, ravaging their herds and scorching Fasthala itself with his destructive breath. Oh boy, Scatha seems rather nasty. As Scatha scorched Fasthala with his fiery breath, Frumgar and Fram took up arms against the dreaded long worm.
Frumgar faced the dragon among his slaughtered household, Rothblada in hand.
Well, what happened then? Everything burns! That worm will pay dearly! I'm coming, father! Frumgar nearly slew the beast. Hold out for just a moment longer! Oh my goodness gracious. The Lord was bested in the end. Ah! Father! Frumgar's arm was horribly gnawed by the worm's sharp teeth. Fram came to his father's rescue. Quick, my boy! Rothblada! He picked up his father's sword and fought the dragon. Don't worry, I'll finish this. For your sake, I hope you do not run. That's a big worm, that's for sure. Very big indeed. Well, let's see if we can help a little bit. Bit scorching here. Scatha was so badly injured that he ran. Face me, you coward! You worm! Scatha! Father, you're badly injured. I will live. You need a healer. The worm is still alive. Someone, help! So From's father's arm was horribly bitten?
Come, let us return to Framsburg. There is more to learn in the ruins there.
Yes, Scatha's bite carried a flesh-rotting poison, such that From was forced to cut off his own father's sword arm to save his life. Even after his maiming, Frumgar remained sickly and weak for the rest of his days. Come, let us return to Fromsburg. There is more to learn. Alright, let's see what we can learn there. Back to Fromsburg. What's the importance of this site?
Fasthala once stood here.
Now we can see only the ruins of Fromsburg, built upon Fasthala's ruins after Scatha's attack. Well, there is that.
Come, let us search the ruins of Framsburg once more, and learn what we can about Fram.
The Althuda were badly hurt by Scatha's onslaught, and Fram knew another attack might be the end of his people. Come, let's search the ruins of Fromsburg once more to learn what we can about From. Alright. More searching of the area is inevitable. But first, let's look at this place of history. Taking up Rosbulata, he left the ruins of Fasthala and set out alone into the wild. I will find that worm and slay it. None saw him again for 2 long years. 2 more long years. This is where he went. Now let's see what the significance of this place is. From's wife, the shield maiden Sigurd, soon despaired that he would not return. I have all but lost hope, but my From shall return. Frumgar's mood grew blacker and blacker. He had led his people out of danger and into death, it seemed. Now it looked as if it might have cost him the son that he had hoped to spare. Fasthala remained a broken keep, haunt of a fading people. Hope was not lost, however. Well, we could only hope. On the first day of spring in the year of 2000, Fram returned. He emerged from the woods bedraggled and dirty, yet unharmed. Let us learn what we can of Fram's return from parts unknown. Alright. What happened when From returned? So what happened when From returned?
With him, Fram bore 2 great sacks, which he poured out amid the rubble of his father's hall.
2 sacks? And what was it? And what was in those sacks? One was filled with treasure, gold and silver, and jewels of dwarf make. Alright. And the other one? These are but a small portion of Scatha's hoard. Scatha's hoard. So he brought the treasure from Scatha's hoard, as well as the bones of Scatha. Well, that was quite an item. Are you saying that From killed Scatha and that those were Scatha's bones?
Could it be that some of Scatha's hoard still adorns the ruins of the keep?
From's people hailed him as a hero, and at his bidding, Fasthala was rebuilt in a manner grander than what came before. The Althuda named it Fromsborg in his honor. The treasures of Scatha's hoard adorned it. Could it be that some of Scatha's hoard still adorns the ruins of the keep? We should search the ruins for any signs of Scatha's treasures. Alright. So go into Fromsburg and see what's inside. Most interesting. This sconce seems to be quite richly decorated, as if by dwarves. Most interesting. and they seem to be all over the place. There's another one right there. All I found were a number of dwarf-made sconces.
Yes, it is interesting that all of the adornments you have found are dwarf-made.
This is no coincidence, and I'll explain why soon enough. What I must tell you first is that Fromm did with Scatha's bones. He made for his father a necklace of the dragon's teeth. When Thrumgar received the gift, he was glad to be thus avenged. His happiness was to be short-lived, however. What happened? What happened? Thrumgar's illness only worsened, and he died of it a few years later.
Fromm then took the dragon's tooth necklace for himself and set about ordering the lands of his people.
Did the necklace hasten Thrumgar's illness? I cannot say for certain. I am certain, however, that Fromm's heart only held admiration for his father. There was never an ill wish between the two while their lives overlapped. All right.
Fromm invited the lords of neighboring lands to his hall for a great feast to celebrate the slaying of Scatha.
Now, Pineleaf, I'll explain why the treasure of Scatha's were all made by dwarves. This is best told to you by the telling of the ill-fated feast. Ill-fated? Yes, Fromm invited the lords of neighboring lands to his hall for a great feast to be celebrating the slaying of Scatha. Both Thranduil of Felgoth and Thrain of Erebor sent emissaries, as did the lords of the woodsmen and the lake folk, distant kin to the Ithluda. All right, I suppose that's reasonable.
The feast was meant to be a great celebration.
But you're telling me it wasn't.
Fromm's celebration of the death of Scatha caused great excitement through neighboring lands. Lords and emissaries prepared themselves for the feasting and revels to come. All the guests arrived, excited to meet the one who had slain Scatha the Worm.
The feast began with lively song and joyous laughter. All right, this all sounds good. But it doesn't end that way, apparently. Ooh, what have we got here? Quite a number. Matters took an onward turn when Fromm revealed the prizes he brought forth from Scatha's lair. Behold the prized treasure of Scatha's hoard! Behold these prized treasures! Behold these! The Longbeard's herald recognized the treasures as heirlooms of his people. Why, that is dwarf treasure! I know dwarf craft when I see it! Fromm blew a note upon the silver horn and began the feast. Let us feast begin! Hold a moment, Fromm. How can you lay sole claim to the stolen dwarf treasures? Surely, since dwarf hands had wrought them, you would see this. They had been plundered from dwarves' halls either by the dragon itself or by those he had devoured before. Some share of the wealth must belong to Durin's folk. A reasonable request. Yes, I agree. Fromm saw otherwise, though. Perhaps the request was ill-timed, while he still mourned his father and lost to the worm's bite. Perhaps he was afflicted by the dragon sickness from the hoard itself. Perhaps some other dark thoughts weighed upon him. Regardless, he was wroth at the dwarves' requests and rebuked them for it. You may not lay claim to any of Scatha's hoard. These treasures belong solely to my people, dwarf. Now look here, man. Do you not care about the wishes of Thrain? I do not care what Thrain thinks. He did not even come to my hall. Why are you disrespecting him? Discussions grew heated, and they might have come to blows at the council of Wanlad Greymane, who had come to attend the feast out of curiosity. Oh, enough, my friends. We come here for food and drink, not bloodshed. The wizard stayed hands that stayed towards axe half, but when it prevailed upon Fram to see reason, the Lord refused to be moved. From, perhaps you and your guest should retire for the night? Speak again only you have slept, and when mead no longer heats your hearts. The following day, one might advise a compromise. Uh-huh. And what was that? From, take the dragon tooth necklace and send it to Erebor instead of the treasure. Had the dwarves not enough new riches from the lodes that they have already discovered beneath the lonely mountain? Were the riches of Gundabad not already laden with too many ill memories among their people? Had the Theoden not given them shelter during the darkest years after the fall of Khazad-dûm, and were they not owed tribute in return? I thank you for your advisement. I agree with some of which you speak, Wandalb.
What began in celebration almost ended in a declaration of war.
It may have been a declaration of war had it not been for Wandalb, who was able to steer the men and dwarves back from the brink of battle. Unfortunately, that did not go as well as the wizard had hoped.
Sorrowing at the failure of his own wisdom, the Grey Wizard returned to Framabarg, bearing grim tidings.
From was unsurprisingly enraged in his turn. He sent the wizard away as well in scorn. One would assume that Wandalb departed in sorrow, with the hope that he might return in time to bring together the two stubborn lords and make them understand each other when their heads had cooled. It would not be so.
I believe that it is the right time in this tale to begin following in the footsteps of Scatha.
From assented to Wandal's proposal soon after the wizard's departure, for in truth he had come to dislike the reminder of his father's undoing, and he was glad of an excuse to get rid of Scatha's teeth. Finally, my friend, I believe that it is the right time in the tale to begin following in the footsteps of Scatha, or at least his teeth. Would you be able to accompany me to Erebor? I would be most grateful if you did, as I know that you are in good standing with those who dwell there now. Well, I am. Most of the people that dwell there are off fighting a certain war, but I suppose I could head along that way. It appears our journey is going well so far.
Let us rest here for a bit.
I am very much looking forward to seeing Erebor. I have heard about the Lonely Mountain, but have not yet journeyed to this part of Middle-earth. We have a ways to travel, do we not? Perhaps then we should not miss the opportunity prevailing itself on us here in the wilds of Mist Hollow. Let us hunt for some meats to keep our bellies full until we reach the gates of Erebor. Well, I suppose we can do that. Now, how about, would moose meat do? Hey, how about moose meat? We could try. Actually, this might be enough for the entire journey. Unfortunately, the meat tends to fight back, which is the big problem here. Fights back with some rather large antlers, apparently. Ooh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no calling of friends. No calling of friends. Should be enough to last us for the journey.
Your skills at the hunt are impressive.
Thank you. Perhaps one day your skills will even rival those of From's hunting prowess. Now then, I am feeling rested enough to continue the journey towards Erebor. I'm ready to depart when you are. Yes, let's get going. And welcome to Erebor.
Erebor?
To say that the structures of dwarves are grandiose is but an understatement. To be holding such structures with one's eyes, Erebor is a wonder indeed. We have made it!
Now that we have arrived safely at Erebor, I would very much like to have a look around this grand hall under the mountain.
Yes, when Thurain's herald returned to Erebor with the necklace, Wanlab had accompanied the herald to speak on the Ithuta's behalf. I assume that the Grey Wizard did all he could to help ease the tensions between the two peoples. How successful was he in easing the tensions? And does it in any way tie with the certain events that are going up out in the Elder Slade? Perhaps we may learn this in the next episode of The Legacy of Durin.